Hi guys, I hope you're well. In this video I want to discuss my personal story, my personal training journey, my personal struggles I've had to face along the way. And the reason why I'm sharing this isn't for myself. This purpose is to try and share some of my struggles, because I think you'll be able to relate to this personally, and then I can also discuss what helped me get through those particular struggles. So I'm now almost 24, my birthday is actually tomorrow, ironically enough. So I'm 23 now, 24 tomorrow. I've been training almost 8 years now, and I can tell you that if you knew how I was training the first 1 to 2 years of training, you'd be in hysterics. Some of the things I used to do were absolutely embarrassing. The reason why I want to share this with you is you might be able to relate to this. You might be able to relate to some of the things you've done previously, and also just to come away from this concept. You might watch some of my videos and you might think, oh, it's fine for James, but I just wanted to know that it wasn't always like that. I've gone through the same struggles you're maybe going through right now. If not, I was probably doing even worse things. So for example, I want to kind of go back when I first started training. Was when I was 16. Me and my friends were in sixth form at the time, and we decided to join the gym. And I think probably the initial reason was to basically get big to attract girls, etc. That was probably the main focus. And I can tell you right now, when I first started training, I was absolutely clueless. Some of the things I used to do were, looking back, embarrassing. So one of the things I used to do was I'd train for 2 hours. Sometimes I'd go into the gym when I first started and just do everything I could. I would do more of the machine resistance machines, just because they were easier to use, in the sense that with the freeway exercise, I didn't really have anyone to teach me what to do. So by doing a lot of the machines first, because there was always a diagram and some instructions for each machine, it just seemed like the easier thing to do. Now the reason why I trained for 2 hours is because I didn't really know how to split up body parts, or to train upper lower or push pull or anything like that. I thought, oh, surely you've just got to train every single body part, and that was one of the reasons why I was in there for so long. Another thing I used to do, it's another funny story. The gym I train at is probably only about a 10-minute drive, but it's probably about 5 miles, and I decided I was going to start taking protein shakes because I wanted to get bigger, and I thought, yeah, protein, from what I read up online, is what I need to be consuming to get bigger. But at the same time, one of my brother's friends have taken it and gotten fat by consuming lots of whey protein. In reality, it wasn't really to do with this. It's probably just because they were in a energy surplus. So I thought, right, I'm going to counteract that by not only doing my gym session. It probably wasn't quite 2 hours at that particular time, but I would actually run to and from the gym, and it was about 5 miles, and probably took me about an hour, maybe a little bit under, try and burn a few more calories so I didn't gain body fat. So looking back, you're probably smiling looking at this now, thinking, oh my god, how embarrassing. So he's doing like a 50-minute run to the gym, 15-minute run home. I think I used to have like my backpack as well. Gym session probably at least an hour. So like I said, when I first started, it was more like 2 hours, and then I cut a few things down. So just looking back, it was just quite frankly ridiculous. Now prior to that, one of the things that really got me into fitness is I used to be quite a good footballer. I used to actually want to be a professional footballer. That was my main focus when I was between probably 11 and say 15, 16. But unfortunately, when I was in year 9 to maybe about 14, I had quite a bad broken leg. And in some ways I look back, and this is actually a blessing in disguise. I actually did it playing prison rules football. So those of you who live in the UK can probably look back, say 10 years ago when they were at school or whenever they were, and prison rules football is basically no rules, as it sounds. You're basically taking people out, people are sliding in, etc. So yeah, broke my leg, had operation, dislocated my ankle, not very pleasant. But the reason what got me into fitness was the journey back, because I had to start doing, say, lots of cycling initially, swimming, to build up the strength of my legs so I can start playing football again. I would sometimes cycle twice a day when I had my cast off, and try to build up the strength of my leg. And then I started getting into running when I had a bit more strength in my leg, and the main focus initially was just to get back into football. And while I was doing this, I started to, I guess, get a little bit leaner. I wasn't really doing weight training at that point. I was seeing some body composition changes. I was seeing some improvements in my fitness, and that's when I really got into fitness. And then another point between breaking my leg, getting into fitness a little bit more, and also joining the gym, I started doing, say, lots of press-ups and sit-ups at home in my room. And I remember, this is absolutely embarrassing looking back, but because at one point I wanted a six-pack, and I thought, surely the way to get a six-pack is to train abs all the time. I initially started training abs once per day, just in my room, lots of crunches, sit-ups, probably planks, etc. And then I thought, well, actually, let's try and increase the frequency. Surely more is better. So there's no word of a lie. I trained abs 3 times a day at home, every single day for a whole year, without missing a day. That's no lie. So I come home from school, I was at school at the time, train abs maybe like 10, 15, 20 minutes. I then do something else for like an hour or two, maybe watch a bit of TV, train abs again, and then I'd train abs maybe after tea or another point in the evening. So all probably from when I used to get home maybe about 3:30 till I went to bed about 10. So just absolute crazy. Going back to when I joined the gym, I started doing more free weight exercises probably after that first, say, 6-8 months of training. And the reality is, as those of you who have started weight training before in the past, you know that your body adapts very well to weight training. The first kind of 6 months is probably the best progress you'll see, and despite the fact I was training like an absolute idiot for most of it, I saw some improvements, and that increases the drive to continue doing it, really. So even though I was training like an idiot, I was still seeing some progress, and I started getting more into the nutrition and started reading more up online. And this is when I was in 6th form. I remember distinctly, it's quite funny looking back, there was a business/economics teacher I used to get on quite well. His name was Mr. Tranfield, and it was a kind of a running joke, because every single day I'd bring in my chicken and brown rice. I'd done a bit of research online for, oh yeah, chicken's what I need, lots of protein, brown rice supposed to be a good carb source. I was a bro back then. I'd literally have that every single day, and that was kind of the start of me getting more into the nutrition. Still didn't really know what I was doing, and this is a key point I wanted to raise you. This is when I probably went through a little bit of an eating disorder. Looking back at it now, this is the specific reason why I'm so passionate about the clean eating idea. Is a load of BS, and it can easily cause eating disorders, and this is personally what I think happened to me. So during this period, maybe I was about 17, 18, I literally wouldn't have any processed food at all. I'd just have quote-unquote non-processed food, so quote-unquote clean, as the clean eaters like to call it, and this is the point I'm going to come on to next. And the reality is, it was awful. I was obsessed. I was eating, say, 6 times a day because I thought that meal frequency was important. I thought that I had to eat every 2 to 3 hours. Wouldn't have any processed food at all. I'd kind of avoid social occasions. I'd avoid going out with my friends. I'd even sometimes try and avoid kind of family meals, and even in the evenings I'd be cooking my own food, not with my family, and because of this. And it was a really tough time, and looking back, it's embarrassing. But the reason why I want to bring this up is I know that there's lots of people going through similar things, where they're just lost in this idea of just eat quote-unquote non-processed food and you'll achieve your goals. It's absolute BS. So going back to the story, and fortunately, when I got my personal training qualification when I was about maybe around 18, and then I started kind of coming online maybe around when I was kind of in my early 20s, and fortunately I came across a mentor, and he's watching now. I'm sure he'll probably find it quite funny I brought this up, but he really changed everything for me. He changed the way I looked at nutrition and training. He really taught me to fish. Instead of someone giving you a fish, i.e. giving you a black and white answer, he told me where to look for information. He told me how to be critical when I'm analysing nutrition and training scientific journals, how to be critical with analysing what is right and wrong in terms of nutrition information. That person is Joseph Hagoos. If you haven't heard of him, I suggest googling him and looking at some of his excellent articles on his website. But he taught me more of an evidence scientific approach to nutrition and training, and that changed everything, because one thing you'll realise with regards to more of the evidence-based approach is nothing's black and white. There's no just eat clean. It's very context dependent. It depends on so many different factors. There's no one size fits all for nutrition and training requirements. He basically taught me how to read research journals, have people to learn from, things like Alan Aragon, Lyle McDonald, Eric Helms, etc., Brad Schoenfeld, James Krieger, all these evidence-based practitioners, in my opinion, some of the best in the industry. And that changed everything. It changed not only myself as a practitioner working with clients and delivering content, but also my own training and nutrition. Like I said, I was in a stage where I was just eating non-processed food, wouldn't eat any processed food, and if I did, I'd feel really guilty about it, and it was just a vicious cycle, going from not focusing on meal frequency, focusing more on total calorie and macronutrients met by the end of the day, focusing on a meal frequency that actually suited my personal preference, focusing on consuming the majority of my foods from single ingredient whole food sources, but if I wanted some processed foods, some treats in there, I could still have it as long as I met those calorie and macronutrient targets. And if you're going through the similar thing now in terms of this whole clean eating bullshit, this will be the biggest game changer, because this took so much weight off my shoulders, because it allowed me to still have a life, still go on social occasions, still have a few treats, etc. at home, not feel guilty about it, because I knew how to meet daily calorie and macronutrient targets that were suitable for my goals. Now, take these into context. I'm not saying just eat junk food to meet your daily targets. The majority of foods should come from whole food to help me, micronutrients to help me, fiber, etc. as well. By having some quote-unquote processed food every now and again in moderation, again, the dosage, the most important factor, is really a game changer, because it allows you to meet your goals yet still feel like you're free. You're not stressed, you're not obsessed like I was. And that was probably the main point I was trying to get across in this video. But yeah, I don't want to drag this video on for too long, but that was the point. I was sort of sharing some of my stories, some of the things that I had to overcome, and hopefully that'll help you. Like I said, if I can help one person who's going through a similar thing, and I've actually had a friend, a very personal friend, very recently suffer something very similar. Well, hopefully this has been useful, and I'll look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.